Epic History TV's History of Russia Part 5. Let's go. If you want to go see extended content, bonus content, or movie reactions, go over to our Patreon. Links in the description box down below. It's only £3 a month.
Cheaper than a meal deal.
Cheaper than a meal deal. Let's go.
If you need to buy food, buy food.
Yeah.
In 1881, Russian Emperor Alexander II was assassinated by left-wing terrorists in St. Petersburg. Today, the place where he was fatally wounded is marked by the magnificent Church of the Saviour on spilled blood.
Beautiful church.
Alexander II had been a reformer, hailed as the liberator for freeing Russia's south.
That looks incredible.
But his son and successor, Alexander III, believed his father's reforms had unleashed dangerous forces within Russia that ultimately led to his death. As emperor, he publicly vowed to reassert autocratic rule, declaring that, in the midst of our great grief, the voice of God orders us to undertake courageously the task of ruling, with faith in the strength and rightness of autocratic power.
Okay.
Once again, basically saying the person in power is the person blessed by God. Yeah.
The Tsar's secret police, the so-called Okranka, was ordered to infiltrate Russia's many revolutionary groups. Those found guilty of plotting against the government were hanged or sent into internal exile in Siberia.
Gulag.
Alexander III was a
To be fair, if we do go Russia, as long as we're together, we can do the Gulag.
100%.
Yeah.
Because we've got each other to motivate.
That's it.
What was that fit? I think it was like the castle wall or something. It was about a bloke that got sent to like a prison, and they asked him to destroy a wall, rebuild it, and he was just like, no. And everyone was just like following his command because he was like a soldier or something. But it's a really, I can't remember the proper name, but it was a really, really good film.
This man who supported the Orthodox Church and the assertion of a strong Russian national identity.
Okay.
Russia's Jews became victims of this policy. They'd already been targeted in murderous race riots known as pogroms, after false rumors were spread that they were responsible for the assassination of the emperor.
Shit, that's horrible.
Now, the government expelled 20,000 Jews from Moscow, and many who could began to leave the country.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Over the next 40 years, around 2 million Jews would leave Russia, most bound for the USA.
Wow.
Concerned by the growing power of Germany, Russia signed an alliance with France, both sides promising military aid if the other was attacked.
Right.
Sergei Witte was appointed Russia's new Minister of Finance.
Okay.
His reforms helped to modernize the Russian economy and encourage foreign investment, particularly from its new ally, France. French loans helped Russia to develop its industry and infrastructure.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Work began on the Trans-Siberian Railway. Completed in 1916, it remains the world's longest railway line, running 5,772 miles from
It kept going, brother. I thought he was gonna start. I thought he was gonna stop here. I thought he was gonna stop here.
Jesus. Does anyone know the train in the picture on the bottom right? Does anyone know if they've actually got any of these still around today?
Yeah, this looks
Are
beautiful.
they in a museum or have they all been destroyed? I'd like to know about that.
This looks beautiful.
Because that's like proper history. That's crazy. That's long.
That's a fucking long. How long do you think it would take travel from one end to the other?
3-4 days maybe on the train?
It's got to be, isn't it? I'd kind of like to do that though.
Would be interesting, but I'd be really pissed off if we missed the train. I'd be fucking livid.
Yeah, but I reckon you could do. Yeah, I reckon that'd be really interesting to go along that, and then maybe stop off at 1 or 2 places. That'd be a sick video, I think.
Definitely.
Moscow to Vladivostok.
Oh yeah, the pole.
Alexander III was succeeded by his son, Nicholas II.
Okay. Now,
His
how's
coronation
Nicholas
was
gonna do?
marred by tragedy when 1,400 people were crushed to death at an open-air celebration in Moscow.
Oh, wow.
China granted
Shit,
Russia the
indeed.
right to
Yeah.
build a naval base at Port Arthur.
Okay.
When China faced a major revolt known as the Boxer Rebellion, Russia moved troops into Manchuria under the
This is when they
pretext
got-
of
yeah, they
defending
got
Port
Manchuria.
Arthur from the rebels.
They end up
This brought Russia into conflict with Japan, who also had designs over Manchuria and Korea. The Japanese made a surprise attack on Port Arthur, then defeated the Russian army
They like
at
us
the
to
giant
attack the
Battle
Japanese,
of
didn't
London.
Yep.
Russia's Baltic
Yep.
fleet, meanwhile, had sailed halfway around the world to reach the Pacific, where it was immediately annihilated at the Battle of Tsushima.
Oh, you've just spent the whole time just sailing round to get there, and you arrive, and then you just get blown to shit.
Mullered. And the worst thing with it is, like, imagine if you're on a half-broken ship and you're like, we need to port. We've got to get all the way back to be able to port, and your ship's got to last and survive that. No chance.
mate.
No chance.
I see you. You haven't liked the video yet. Why not? Go on, go like it. While you're at it, you know you want to subscribe. And if you want to go to our social medias, all the links you need are in the description box down below. And you might as well head over to our Patreon as well, where you can get extra bonus content if you're enjoying this. That link's in the description box down below. But we'll get straight back into the video. Love you guys.
Look at those ships, though.
Russia was left with no option but to sign a humiliating peace, brokered by US President Theodore Roosevelt.
Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Aye.
Meanwhile, the Tsar faced another crisis much closer to home. In St. Petersburg, a strike by steel workers had escalated, and plans were made for a mass demonstration. Tens of thousands of protesters marched to the Winter Palace to present a petition to the Tsar, asking for better workers' rights and more political freedom.
Okay, that's fair.
But instead, troops opened fire on the crowds, killing more than 100. Bloody Sunday, as it became known, led to more strikes and unrest across the country.
Yeah, of course it would, though. Don't blame them, do
The
you?
crew of the battleship Potemkin mutinied, killing their officers and taking control of the ship. To defuse the crisis, Nicholas II reluctantly issued the October Manifesto, drafted under the supervision of Sergei Witte.
Okay, yeah.
It promised an elected assembly and new political rights, including freedom of speech, and was welcomed by most moderates.
Yeah, of course it
Okay.
would be.
Russia's first constitution was drafted the next year.
Okay.
For the first time, the Tsar would share power with an elected assembly, the State Duma, though the Tsar had the right to veto its legislation and dissolve it at any time.
Are you sure?
So it was a ceremonial thing. It was basically like, we're going to do this so you think that you have liberalism and you have a say. But no, sir. You don't. Because the moment I get pissed off, I go, no. And then if you give me too much trouble, I just say, go away or you'll die.
Fuck.
Fucking hell.
Sergei Witte finally lost the Tsar's confidence and was dismissed. The Tsar's new Prime Minister, Stolypin, introduced land reforms to help the peasants,
Yeah, nice.
while dealing severely with Russia's would-be revolutionaries. So much so that the hangman's noose got a new nickname, Stolypin's necktie.
Oh,
But having survived several attempts on his life, Stolypin was shot and killed by an assassin at the Kiev Opera
that doesn't
House.
surprise me. For some reason.
Meanwhile, Grigory Rasputin, a Siberian faith healer, had joined the imperial family's inner circle, thanks to his unique ability to ease the suffering of the Tsar's hemophiliac son, Alexei. Despite sporadic acts of terrorism, Russia now had the fastest growing economy in Europe. Agricultural and industrial output were on the rise.
Okay.
most ordinary Russians remained loyal to the Tsar and his family. Russia's future seemed bright.
Nice. Ah,
Yep.
yes.
World War One.
In 1914, in Sarajevo, a Slav nationalist assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne,
Yeah, this was the start.
sparking a
Yeah,
European
there was something to do with
crisis.
his number plate as well.
Yeah. I remember
When
you saying.
Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, Emperor Nicholas ordered the Russian army to mobilize, to show his support for a fellow Slav nation. Austria-Hungary's ally, Germany, saw Russian mobilization as a threat and declared war. Europe's network of alliances came into effect, and soon all the major powers were marching to war. World War I
It
had
happened
begun.
so quick.
It really
It
did.
happened so quick. It was just like, oh yeah, this has happened. Well, of course we need to help Serbia, and it was like, oh, then we don't like you. It was like 3 or 4 days. This all kicked off. Like
It's
it was
crazy
ridiculous.
to think that one action can just entirely mess a world up.
Brother, it was like imagine if we had of the EU and NATO had took the invasion of Ukraine seriously. Well, not seriously. If let's say Ukraine was a part of EU and that had happened, and it would have literally
Yeah,
just
'cause
gone. All of us would have gone. Okay, now we're against Russia,
Something
and then
else
like
is happening.
Turkey attack and all sorts. Like it's
Yeah,
crazy.
something else has happened apparently, like in the last day or two.
Oh, mate, stuff always.
Britain's
happens.
apparently opened fired.
That's Yemen. That's a completely different area. That's the
Yeah.
Middle East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
That's because the Houthis have been backed by the Iranian government for a long time. And they're like an insurgent in Yemen, and what they would do is they would shoot rockets at ships
Yeah,
on the
because they were
coast.
saying that they shut down quite a lot of rockets and drones recently.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's crazy. Bro.
Yeah. But again, I'm not. I
Yeah.
think I got those details correct. I might be slightly wrong, but yeah.
Russia experienced a
in a crazy
wave
time,
of
mate.
patriotic
Crazy.
fervour.
Crazy.
The capital, St. Petersburg, was even renamed Petrograd to sound less German. An early Russian advance into East Prussia ended with heavy defeats at Tannenberg
Ooh.
and the Masurian Lakes. There was greater success against Austria-Hungary, but that too came at a high price. Russian losses forced the army to make a general retreat in 1915.
Didn't know that.
In
I don't know much about
1916,
World War I.
Russia's Brusilov offensive against Austro-Hungarian forces was one of the most successful Allied attacks of the war.
Okay.
But losses were so heavy that the Russian army was unable to launch any more major operations. In Petrograd, Rasputin, whose alleged influence over the Tsar's family was despised by certain Russian aristocrats, was murdered, possibly with the help of British agents.
We've always got to have a part
Did you
somewhere.
see how he was wrapped up there?
Yeah, man.
The war put intolerable strains on Russia. At the front, losses were enormous, while in
always
the
are.
cities, economic mismanagement led to rising prices and food shortages. In Petrograd, the workers' frustration led to strikes and demonstrations. Troops ordered to disperse the crowds refused and joined the protesters instead.
Okay.
The government had lost control of the capital.
That was it.
On board the Imperial train at Puskov, senior politicians and generals told the Emperor he must abdicate, or Russia would descend into anarchy and lose the war. Nicholas accepted their advice and renounced the throne in favor of his brother, Grand Duke Michael,
Okay,
who
what's Michael
effectively
doing?
declined the offer. 400 years of Romanov rule were at an end. Russia was now a republic.
Okay.
A provisional government took power, but could not halt Russia's slide into economic and military chaos. Workers, soldiers, and peasants elected their own councils, known as Soviets. The The Petrograd Soviet was so powerful, it was effectively a rival government, especially as discontent with the provisional government continued to grow.
Okay.
Yep.
The Bolsheviks, under Vladimir Lenin, attracted growing support with their radical proposals for an immediate end to the war, the redistribution of land, and transfer of power to the Soviets.
Okay.
Lenin and Stalin are two very, very interesting historical figures. Very interesting historical figures. I've done a bit of research into both of them. Very interesting.
In October, they launched a coup, masterminded by Leon Trotsky. Bolshevik Red Guards stormed the Winter Palace, where the provisional government met, and arrested its members. Lenin and the Bolsheviks were now in charge. Russia had been thrown upon a bold and dangerous course. Under a Marxist-inspired revolutionary party, it would now seek to create the world's first communist state.
Well then.
But first, it would have to survive the chaos and slaughter of one of history's bloodiest civil wars.
That's the Reds versus the Whites between the Russians, I think. That was the civil war they were talking about.
Thank you to all our Patreon supporters who made this video.
Crazy. They make amazing content. Loving this little series.
I want to know how they get all this information together, bro.
I mean, it's quite easy. You just
It's
got
a
to
lot
actually
of research.
Yeah, you just got to sit down and actually research it, which me and you clearly can't be asked to do. Well, I do this sometimes.
It's not that. I want to make sure that what I'm reading and getting the information is the correct information.
Yeah, there's like Harvard websites you can go to and stuff like that, and like
and all that shit.
Yeah, like proper websites. Don't go to Wiki. Go to other stuff. Wiki's good for like a general basis idea of something to get the basic structures, but then like a lot of the stuff is just filled out by other people, so it's a lot of jargon.
Yeah.
So like you got to get the basic story, the basic idea off of Wiki, and then go, right, now I know what I'm sort of looking into. I have a better idea of where to aim my target, my Google search, to sort of find out that information. But we're digressing. If you haven't already, head over to Epic History TV's channel. Their link's in the description box down below. They make amazing content. We're going to jump onto the next episode of this. So if you want to see that, you know what you need to do. You need to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we will catch you in the next video.
See you soon.